Another week closer to the NFL draft. That means another mock draft. 2 rounds today. As you all know by now, Hayden Winks in the lab. UnderdogMockDraft.com. It is in the link in the description down below. You can go through team by team 7-round mock drafts or do what we're doing here with a full 7 rounds. More information, tools, additions every single day, it feels like. Hayden, let's dive into this. Raiders, number 1 pick. Fernando Mendoza, I know yesterday you were on Arena Gridiron with the boys and you proposed Arvell Reese to the Jets at number 2. They pushed back. Where is your mindset now with that number 2 overall pick?
Yeah, back to the minor leagues with you, Josh, here. But Skip, Akib, Gerald McCoy, they were not huge fans of Arvell Reese. They liked David Bailey. I'm sticking to my guns. I've watched these guys plenty enough. I think Arvell Reese is perfect for the modern NFL because it's all about simulated pressures, who's coming, who's not. It's not like necessarily you're all out blitzing anymore. It's like there's 6 or 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, the quarterback and the offensive line, they're panicking, who's coming, who's not. Arvell Reese can do that exceptionally well because he's got heavy hands. He can play off-ball linebacker. He's got crazy range at his speed and size. So to me, this is like what the future of linebacker is going to look like. Ooh. I think he's the perfect body type for it.
Yeah, I did love that conversation that you guys had. Gerald brought up, Isaiah Simmons, and in my mind, I was thinking Steve Keim's favorite prospects were like these hybrid types that you couldn't tell exactly what they were. Yeah. Hassan Reddick, was another one of these, but he kept bringing up not having a clear plan or a clear vision and putting too much on their plate early on. I think for Arvell Reese, you determine that either in OTAs or in training camp. And for me, the most obvious one actually is rushing the passer, like someone opposite at a high level with his athleticism in Will McDonald, because at least on the second level, you have DeMario Davis and you have right now that sizable contract with Jamie Sherwood. But moving on beyond his rookie season, maybe we get more of that hybridness from him once he masters one thing.
Yeah, this is when I just see it differently. I would just do exactly what Matt Patricia, someone that's been calling plays and just be an off-ball linebacker that walks up. And I think that the Isaiah Simmons stuff, that was like, is he a safety or linebacker? I think it's a little bit easier to be like, you're a linebacker and what is your blitz rate? Like, to me, that's a lot easier of a transition than like what Sonny Styles did, which is incredible for him. Go from safety, now you're playing like legitimately like off-ball, like Mike Backer. Like, to me, that's where Simmons, like, was he going to be a slot corner? Like, that was a whole different ball game where we're like truly trying to galaxy brain this because he didn't have the toughness that Arvell Reese plays with. So I think this is it's an easy comp to make, like off your just like the history, but practically it's a little bit easier for me to envision because Matt Patricia was the one calling the shot.
Yeah, that's why I think the Hassan Reddick comparison is a bit more on the nose. Obviously, Arvell Reese went to Ohio State, not Temple. Arvell Reese is a slightly superior prospect than Hassan Reddick was. You have a cool feature here that if you dive into the trends and data section, that overall, the whole first round mock draft say Arvell Reese is going to the Jets 80% of the time, then also the fans only, which again comes from the 7-round mock draft variety. Jets fans have him down slightly lower at 73% of the time.
Yeah, and interesting enough, it's Ruben Bain, not David Bailey, as the second option as well. So that could be the surprise call of it all.
Jets are taking Arvell Reese at number 2. That brings us to number 3 and the Arizona Cardinals. David Bailey's there. Sonny Styles is there. Or the likely most commonly mocked player is Francis Mauanoa, the offensive tackle out of Miami. Which direction do you think we should go here?
Man, this one's really difficult. If I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I think you gotta, in theory, would want an offensive lineman or / running back, like whoever the most impact player would be. To me, that would be the right tackle over the running back. But some of the best players are on defense there. I just think if you're looking at this, the future is going to be Arch Manning or one of these top quarterbacks in next year's class. And to me, having both tackles ready to go for that quarterback of the future, to me, is just thinking forward. They don't care about 2026. Let's just be honest. When they signed Gardner Minshew to be like the number 2 for Jacoby Brissett, this season is over. So I would just be like, what does Arch Manning want? And I would guess Manning would want Mauanoa.
Wow. Shots fired. We get so zoomed in and locked in with groupthink on, well, this guy's the top tackle, we got to put him here. We're about less than 4 weeks until the NFL draft. Are you certain that Francis Mauanoa is going to be the first tackle off the board?
No, I in my rankings, I'll have top 100 rankings. I will have Spencer Fanu as my number one offensive tackle, and he would be the guy if I was the Cardinals GM who I would take, and I think that he can survive at right tackle. Others disagree.
I'm going to bring that question up as we go through this because, again, you and I have been doing mock drafts each week, and we kind of get, a bit monotonous maybe with some of our picks that we're making. So I kind of want to question that in ourselves because these next 3 weeks, it's going to be turmoil here in this first round, despite, again, the groupthink of the 3 months previous to it. Okay, right now, we'll go with Francis Mauanoa at number 3. That brings us to the Tennessee Titans at number 4. David Bailey is here. We know about Robert Saleh's infatuation with getting from point A to point B and rushing the passer. He has had types like David Bailey doing that, albeit not necessarily a Nick Bosa type per se, but also Sonny Styles and Jeremiah Love are options here at 4th overall.
This is one where people completing just the round 1 mock drafts and entirely they're taking David Bailey the most, but then the Titans fans are picking Jeremiah Love the most by a whole lot. So if they're trying to build out the stadium and sell some seats, and that's what like Akib and those guys were telling me yesterday, then Jeremiah Love would be the pick. I think Robert Saleh doesn't care about the seats, and I think that he cares about the pass rush. And I think that David Bailey, like they were saying, has a lot of juice. I don't think he's the caliber edge rusher that typically goes this high, but this is the draft class. We're going to have to make some adjustments here. I think that David Bailey is the most Robert Saleh pick of it all. And you can even, if you want to get away from consensus, I would be open to Ruben Bain.
They obviously made the trade for Jermaine Johnson on one edge. They have that second rounder out of UCLA who is kind of a project-ish player, has like the frame and the size, but we know Robert Saleh wants to run deep when it comes to these edge rushers. I'm going to throw in David Bailey. Again, I want to note the fans only have Jeremiah Love at 48%, and then Ruben Bain is the 24% compared.
Interesting. I didn't notice that. Yeah, it's Bain over
to David Bailey with just the general population doing the first round pick here.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you noticed with the offensive tackles, I don't think that the consensus and where Bain is versus Bailey, I don't think is as drastic as people are making it out to be. I could easily see these guys flip-flopping.
Okay, let's do a different thing. Let's do Ruben Bain. Let's side with the Titans faithful, albeit not give them Jeremiah Love, who we'll have a conversation with here in a moment, and give them Ruben Bain. I mean, it's all about power, isn't it? Leverage, all that stuff. He has the bend, but at the same time, I know the arm length is a constant question here. But he can run through your face on top of this too.
Yeah, and he wasn't a long arm bull rush guy in college. He's a dip under, go smooth, cross chop guy where he's never playing with his arm like this because like him being short, he kind of dips under offensive tackles where like having no arms is actually working to his advantage. Same thing with his counter moves too. So like if he was bull rushing everybody, then I would have a bigger problem. He just never, he literally didn't do that at Miami.
We're going to go Ruben Bain at number 4. And now that brings us to the New York Giants. David Bailey, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love. I know you posted a social video a couple, days ago, weeks ago. What is time at this point in the calendar? Saying that there's no way that NFL teams are going to take a running back in the top 5 just based purely on how the salary cap works. Dare I say it's kind of the same thing with linebacker, is it not? I mean, the top end people at the position are paid exactly the same as running backs. Yes. And then if you drop down about to linebacker 11, it's basically the same thing as Jeremiah Love. So to me, that conversation is kind of moot if we're doing Sonny Styles versus Jeremiah Love here at number 5.
I mostly agree. I will note that I think there hasn't been a crazy good linebacker aside from Fred Warner in the last 5-ish years. And I do think that will swing back to where there's a lot of difference makers at linebacker. And I think that the 2 guys from Ohio State will kind of like reset the market eventually, but it's a fair point. Like, this is not premium positions. I still think that linebacker, when you have a really good one that can do it all, is still more valuable than the running back who only gets the ball, X percentage of the plays, where a linebacker, you're stopping the run and playing the pass every single down, where I do think I would still prefer a linebacker over a running back.
So this is an interesting one. Again, of all the round 1 mock drafts, Sonny Styles is the most mock 2 and most picked to the Giants at 51%. But if you click on fans only, again, Sonny Styles is number 1 at 52%. I think part of that is because a lot of people are expecting Jeremiah Love to go 4th overall. Hayden, I'm going to strong arm you here, and I'm still going to side with Jeremiah Love at the 5th overall pick with the Giants. I'm potentially too locked in with what some of the beat writers are saying, both pre-free agency and post-free agency. I don't think anything that Harbaugh said. He said, yeah, we need the best trenches and offensive line and defensive line. But then in the next question, he basically said, oh yeah, Jeremiah Love is freaking awesome, and we can use a player like that too.
Right. And their trenches are pretty dang good on both sides of the ball. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's
Draft
not
picks, money on both sides.
I mean, possibly it could be Mawanoa or Fanu to play the guard spot and then kick out when Illuminor ages out there, but they just signed Illuminor. So yeah, I think this one can go a bunch of different directions here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not David Bailey, you know. I mean, they still haven't gotten rid of Kayvon Thibodeau, for example.
Yeah, unless they traded Thibodeau to get Bailey, but that seems kind of ridiculous.
I know you were commonly putting Cardinal Tate in this spot too.
I'm throwing my hands up here. I think Sonny Styles, Tate, Love, Downs, any of these guys would make sense.
Again, I just can't get that Jordan Raanan post out of my head of we're in for Ken Walker. We're in for Travis Etienne. Didn't get those at the time, in for Jeremiah Love, and bing, bang, boom. He's here in the spot. Yeah. But you disagree.
It makes no sense to me. You have Scadabo. They just re-signed Devin Singletary and then Tyrone Tracy. So one of those guys has to get moved to upgrade the position. Like, I don't know. Their linebacker play was egregious last year. Like, egregious. So bad. So that's where I would go.
Before we move on, again, this is underdogmockdraft.com. It has a whole bunch of features. Start using it right now. Over 4,000 mock drafts have been inputted on the site. And at the same time, about 45% of you over the last month that have been watching this channel have not hit the subscribe button. Change that right now. Be a good person. Be kind to Weaves and Mosho behind the camera. We don't care about being kind to me and Hayden. Just Weaves and Mosho putting in the work behind the scenes. Hit subscribe for them at this very instant. Okay. Cleveland Browns at number 6. They have filled, let's say, 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. You and I, for weeks, have been saying Monroe Freeling, the Georgia offensive tackle. Can I throw a curveball in that and say Spencer Fano, who spent, 2 or 3 seasons ago, a full season at left tackle, but in order to, what I heard, fill in for the priority left-handedness of Lomu, shifted over to the right side. And I've seen, Brandon Thorne say that Spencer Fano is the best offensive lineman in this class.
Yeah, I think Spencer Fano is the best offensive lineman. The cool thing about him is, like, Tevin Jenkins at right guard, you can upgrade him. Like, Elton Jenkins is dealing with an injury. So there's different spots for him. I will say, you made the short about the Cleveland Browns trading Myles Garrett. Name the other Browns edge rushers right now. Like, if David Bailey falls to them, could you say, okay, we're probably going to be trading away Myles Garrett if it's not during the draft, it's after post June 1 or at the trade deadline. And even if they keep Myles Garrett, I mean, right now it's Alex Wright, Isaiah McGuire, Julian Okwara. Like, I mean, come on. Like, David Bailey's fallen. I can see them going David Bailey.
No, true. They were in the position, obviously, to draft Abdul Carter last year. Didn't make that move. Appeased Myles Garrett, from what I've heard, and took Mason Graham to pair with him. And that allowed Myles Garrett to break the sack record. But it kind of shows you that despite having the best defensive player in the league, how much a all-time sack leader will get you from a wins and losses standpoint if your offense is just a big fat 0. Do you believe what Andrew Berry is saying about Myles Garrett is a Cleveland Brown? I mean, this is a now 5-month window they have created to create and manufacture the biggest trade market for him. And as we keep talking about, a lot of these teams are probably going to have their eyes on the 2027 draft, and the Browns are certainly at the top of that list.
I didn't hear a great explanation of why they did this, like, why did you move the contract around? Until they say, like, this is the reason why, then I think, like, the only reason why is because we're extending the window to listen to these phone calls.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah. I think even beyond that, they need an edge rusher too. Like, straight up,
I agree.
They need one.
So many of these player for pick deals, the vast majority of them happen before the draft, so you can get, players from that draft. But again, with where the Browns are at this point, new head coach, no quarterback on the roster. You and I will say that. Other people, like your buddy Skip Bayless, might disagree.
Boy.
I mean, never seen more, let's say, Twitter images out there than a guy switching from number 12 to number 2. But I digress. Mm-hmm. That I wouldn't rule out a trade when we get to May, June, July. Like, let's say the Eagles just miss out on a total edge rusher and they say, okay, we're going to go all in for 2026 and 2027, 2028 and move those picks for Myles Garrett. Okay, let's have fun then. I mean, David Bailey's never mocked to the Browns at number 6? Let's be different.
Yep. Perfect.
Hair loss. Many, many men suffer it from ages, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. And if you think you are starting to thin and look in the mirror every single day, and it's going back and back and back with that receding hairline, now's the time to do something about it. And I know a big hang up, a big stumbling block is, man, it's just going to take way, way, way too much time. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. So Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. And there are no hidden fees. There are no surprise costs, just real personalized care on your schedule. So for simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/underdog. That's hims.com/underdog for your free online visit, hims.com/underdog. Individual results may vary based on topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Thank you, Hims, for sponsoring the show. That brings us to the Washington Commanders, who probably would want some David Bailey despite adding Odafe Oweh in free agency. But on the board for them, it's Sonny Styles, it's Cardinal Tate, it's Caleb Downs, or it's corners in Mansour Delane and Jermon McCoy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is another interesting spot because most of the time it's always Jeremiah Love here and then one of the edge rushers. I think Sonny Styles would make some sense there. They added like Leo Chenal and they have Frankie Louvu, but those are like Leo's just kind of an interesting cat and how he plays linebacker anyways. Like he's not your traditional off ball Mike backer.
Downhill
Sonny Styles.
always.
Right. So like Sonny Styles would be that. And then Frankie Louvu, I'm not sure how much you trust him. He's a good athlete, but how much do you trust him? You don't. Where Sonny Styles would be like, he's our one. And now all of a sudden what Louvu and Chenal are good at, it's a good pairing, have those guys just like be crazy athletes, where Sonny Styles is the green dot player for a Matt Patricia defense that was handling everything, was the number one interviewer in the entire combine, according to the people that were out there. So I think that this would be a great kind of foundational piece for a defense that's really struggled for multiple years now.
It's interesting. They added Amik Robertson as their slot corner. I would have thought that maybe if you get to this pick and you hadn't have spent a little bit of dough on that position, then maybe the first corner could go off the board here. And you move Mike Sainristil to the slot, but they seem perfectly fine with Mike Sainristil as like an outside corner.
They do
in the system, despite his maybe size limitations, but he has some dog in him. Yeah. Just again, looking at this feature on the back end, Jeremiah Love, 51%, then David Bailey at 12. Cardinal Tate is 3, according to just the general mocks here. But then he's 5 down at 4% when you look at fans only. Not only fans only.
Different league.
I did a show with Harmon last week, and Terry McLaurin is very good at what he does. I feel like you can get wide receivers in round 2 or maybe even round 3 that like perfectly pair with him. My brain jumps to like Jeremy Bernard being a 3.5 out of 5 stars at everything, and being like a perfect supplement to what Terry McLaurin brings to the table. So I don't know if Cardinal Tate would be the pick here at 7.
I mean, I think Sonny Styles is like best player available. I do think he's also just a fit for what they need. They've really tried to invest a lot in the defense, as they absolutely should. They've already added like 5-ish starters plus some depth pieces. I still think a legit Mike backer for them would go a long way.
Now, the only thing is their defense coordinator came from the Minnesota Vikings. They don't have a ton of investments at like the Mike spot. And what's crazy is they already have, again, Leo Chenal, Frankie Louvu, who have pass rushing experience on this, but at the same time, he can be your drop player and maybe he can fill some of that. That's why Caleb Downs like makes a lot of sense to me here. But again, maybe some questions around that at this moment.
The problem with
Sonny Styles.
Yeah, I think the problem with Downs for Washington is Nick Cross is a strong safety only, and Caleb that's where you kind of really unlock him. So I think that would just kind of be a waste of a free agency addition now. Like if it's their best player available, then they would just go crazy. But I think that's kind of chopping that off for me pre-draft. And
again, Trey Amos was a 2nd-round pick for them that they probably have high hopes for. And this is a fascinating team to follow at number 7.
Yeah.
Because you still have some elite players on the board. Okay, Sonny Styles is the pick for us. That brings us to number 8 and the New Orleans Saints. Cardinal Tate, Mansour Delane, Caleb Downs. your thought process here?
This is a team where I think it's kind of like a blank slate where they don't have like a screaming one need. I do think they need to increase their wide receiver talent in general, but they don't have a crazy offensive line need at this point. They need upgrades at edge rusher, corner, linebacker, all of it. So I think they're going to go best player available, whether that's Tate or Downs or Delane. You can sell me on, but I think it's probably one of those three guys.
Yeah, in a weird way, offensive line is probably down furthest on the list. Cesar Ruiz, their whole fan base wants to replace, but I don't think you do that at 8th overall here. And you have, recent first round picks at both tackles and then a highly paid guard and David Edwards, not David. Would you just stay at home here with corner? I mean, it's Isaac Yiadom, it's Kool-Aid McKinstry. And then after that, it's a bunch of question marks. And then they just, lost their longtime slot player in that too. So
they did.
Are we going to side with Mansour Delane or Jermon McCoy, who had his pro day today, 4.38, 40, some great jumps on top of it. We finally got an athletic profile for a guy who didn't play this entire season.
Yep. I think that some teams would have McCoy higher. I think Delane, in-house, it kind of just fits what the Saints are doing. They, they get rid of Lattimore and then they lose Alontae Taylor. So I think Mansour Delane is a good fit.
And just looking at the Saints mocks, David Bailey is number one, and this is very tight at 21% off the board. Ruben Bain, 19% off the board. And next up is Mansour Delane at 17%. Okay, that is our pick here. Bringing us to number 9 and the Kansas City Chiefs. Is this simply a layup with Carnell Tate on the board?
Yeah, they're in a great spot because they need a corner, they need edge rusher, they need a wide receiver. They can definitely replace a safety. And then I think secondary to all that would be an offensive lineman. And that's all the players that are available. So like whoever slides to them is gonna be like perfect. And then I think the same thing's true at 29 where there's some edge depth where that can be our guy Malachi Lawrence, or that can be a Casey Concepcion if they're lucky down there. So they're going to just let the board fall to them. And I think they're going to get 2 impact starters and they don't have to overthink this. So to me, this would just be Carnell Tate. Thank you very much.
Even the fans, they're a bit optimistic, thinking that Ruben Bain will fall to 9, but at least this basically places a floor. Like the longest he's going to stay in the board is number 9 in Steve Spagnuolo defense. Let's make this quick. And we have a video on the channel posting tomorrow on Carnell Tate, about 12 minutes isolating his film. Hayden is in love for everyone out there. So Carnell Tate is the pick at number 9. Brings us to the Cincinnati Bengals at number 10. We listen to Joe Goodberry. Joe Goodberry constantly brings up safety as a need here, not offensive linemen, as we keep saying, bringing back all 5 starters. And both Caleb Downs and Dylan Thieneman are on the board, along with Jermon McCoy at corner if they want to go in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, with the 40-yard dash for McCoy, I think that opens up to him. Just like seeing him healthy is like a good time because it was a long time since his ACL. I think Downs with Brian Cook is a great pairing. Brian Cook is a free safety with good deep safety eyes who can come up and tackle. And then Caleb Downs is a little bit more in the box. You trust him going everywhere, an elite tackler. The safety play for the Bengals last couple of years since they got rid of Jesse Bates, they can't locate the ball. They can't tackle the ball carrier. You've fixed that problem in one offseason with Caleb Downs and Brian Cook. It's a lot of investment for the safety position. But for where they were at last year against these tight ends, I mean, remember the Colson Loveland play up the seam where it was so bad that I'll give them the pass.
Yeah, I mean, the number 1 scoring tight end in fantasy football was whoever's facing the Cincinnati
By far.
Bengals.
It was like 18 points a game or something. It was crazy.
Another great feature on underdogmockdraft.com. Again, you can find it in the description down below. If you click on needs, gives you the players at just those positions. Unsurprising, it's every defensive position here for the Bengals.
Yeah. AI's getting good.
All right. Caleb Downs is the selection at 10th. That brings us to number 11. And the Miami Dolphins, they can get the wide receiver 2 in this class that they want, and that can be any of them. And this is their first of 2 first-round picks because they also have 30th overall.
Yeah, unfortunately, Miami Dolphins fans doing mock draft, they want Ruben Bain. I did notice that. A lot of teams, their fans want Ruben Bain. So that's just something to keep in mind there. They're in a decent spot because they have so many holes that like whoever falls to them, they'll be happy with. Spencer Fano is the guy though in the top 10 where I think he's a top 10 talent. It's hard to find a home for him. Are the Dolphins a team where like, all right, we're just taking like the remaining like sort of blue chip type of talent, like a true round 1 grade, and then we can put him at guard and then kick him out to tackle if they get sick and tired of Austin Jackson, and just like, all right, next year or for this year for Malik Willis or the next year's rookie quarterback, we have a legit offensive line. I can see them doing that. And then I also can look at their wide receiver room and be like, okay, we're starting from legit zero.
Man, I kept thinking that Spencer Fano was off the board, but he's not. I mean, we went with David Bailey with the Browns instead of Fano, and that's typically the place that we see him going. Yeah, I mean, what, the first offensive lineman not going until 11th overall? I think we've got this wrong.
Well, no, we have Noah gone, right?
Oh, we do. So we have,
yes. Yeah,
the second offensive tackle or offensive lineman by the 11th overall pick.
Josh, if you go over to the trends tab, I have an availability odds calculator where you can see what percent of mock drafts a player falls to a certain pick. And Spencer Fano is one of these guys where he makes it outside of the top 10 a whole lot. So the exact number is 76% of the time he falls outside of the top 10, which I think he's a top 10 guy. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, 24% inside of the top 10, but that's the same thing with Monroe Freeling. That's the same thing with Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Jermon McCoy, all these guys that are still on the board here. Yeah. All the players that went in our top 10 were also the likeliest to go in the top 10, according to the people too.
We know ball. You guys know ball.
Okay. I'm open-minded here. I don't think it's going to be Mekhi Lemon. I could see it actually being Jermon McCoy if they are happy with the medicals.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the Fano stuff where he has played left tackle. He can play right tackle. This offensive line has some major investment in it. I mean, Patrick Paul is a second round pick, albeit a different regime. Jonah Savaina had definitely his rough moments last year. Meanwhile, he's playing next to maybe the best center in football in Aaron Brewer, who should be getting a massive payday.
Yes.
Whatever dead money is not
escapes
dead,
the Dolphins. Yeah.
Fed in
alive
the direction
money
of Aaron Brewer after he saw that Tyler. No one was happier for Tyler Linderbaum to get that cash than Aaron Brewer. That's for sure. And then they brought in Jamari Salyer, who has played multiple spots for the Chargers.
Josh,
what do you want
to do? The Packers regime. What do the Packers always say about offensive linemen? Versatility. Where Spencer Fano, like one of the calling cards with him, is versatility. And the same thing with the Packers. They have thresholds, and they always spend day 2 picks on wide receivers. I think if you're applying the Packers principles to the Dolphins here, it would be Fano over Mekhi Lemon.
And the other thing that the Packers historically love to do is take tackles that played that in college and sometimes move them into guard. So that could be the possibility. That could be the pathway here for Spencer Fano. Dallas Cowboys at number 12. Could this now be the floor for Jermon McCoy, a healthy Jermon McCoy?
That's the most common pairing. 43% of you guys completing the round 1 mock draft say it's Jermon McCoy. I think now that he's the 4-3s player, I think I'm open to that. It's got to be defense. You know, Skip was yelling at me yesterday. It has to be a defensive player. I will say Skip did agree. This is definitely the team that I think is most live to trade up or trade assets, whether it's Myles Garrett or somebody else like that, or just trading up to get whoever's falling. If that's Sonny Styles, Ruben Bain, David Bailey, one of these type of guys, Caleb Downs kind of drops to him. It has to be a defensive player.
I love the trade that you brought to the table in that conversation was Jerry Jones knowing and always wanting to exit with a star player. He has done this in the past and moving up for these types. If we keep saying, well, there's 7 of those in this class, or maybe 10 of those in this class, and you're picking at number 12, that's not that much of a jump to make, especially for some of these teams that might not be needing, an offensive lineman or needing a pillar position, and they would love more picks in this draft, or maybe even a future, something in 2027. And if that's the case, then going up and getting, I think, even a Sonny Styles, albeit not what you would call a premium position, still would make sense because Jerry could get in the microphone afterwards and say, oh, we got one of the 3 best players in this class.
I think the Browns would be a good spot in particular. If they want Monroe Freeling, have we said Monroe Freeling's one time on this? It's because the other teams don't need left tackles. So if they want to drop down to 12 to get a left tackle, and that was the guy that they're going to draft at 6 anyways, then why not go down to 12 and get some more assets for him?
Not surprising that Cowboys fans are some of the most optimistic out there in doing these 7-round mock drafts. They want Caleb Downs, Mansour Lane, Ruben Bain, or Sonny Styles to fall to them at 12th overall.
So good. I wish you the best, Cowboys fans.
I'm sure it's Skip doing every single one of those 7-round mocks.
That.
All right, we're going to give them, since they're stuck here at 12 for us, Jermon McCoy. 13, LA Rams go wide receiver with Mekhi Lemon after, head coach saying, hey, look, Devontae Adams, we liked you a lot last offseason. You still scored touchdowns for us, but we actually flirted with trading you. Now, that was most likely with AJ Brown as a possible other incoming versus that outgoing. What are your thoughts here with the Rams at 13?
They don't have a whole lot of needs. Like, I'd be curious when you hit that needs tab, what even pops up. I forget. It's just this team's so loaded. I do think the wide receiver still does make some sense to me. Yeah. But even if it is wide receiver, which one? We've put Casey Concepcion here before. It could be Tyson Lemon. I don't even know which one. So I think the Rams are a total wild card. And I can see them trading up for Sonny Styles if they were feeling frisky.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, none of these names, especially offensive linemen, don't stand out to me. Keldrick Falk doesn't stand out to me. I think they have like the Mekhi Lemon profile down on this team. And if they were going to go pass catcher, it would be something else. And those two something else would be Kenyon Sadiq. I understand tight end in that room, it's loaded right now, but that hasn't stopped them in the past. And they can, the seam work that Matthew Stafford and Kenyon Sadiq could have, I think would be delicious. And then this is the first time that I'm going to bring up this name. And maybe in 3 weeks, I don't have to scroll so far down, but I really feel like Casey Concepcion would bring something else to the table. And I guarantee you this coaching tree is going to love Casey Concepcion's game. Someone at NC State literally got running back touches, finishes on final contact, wins after the catch. At the same time, separates with ease. You have to respect his speed on every single down. This freaking group took Tutu Atwell in round 2. What if Tutu Atwell was good and bigger and could play every single down? And that is Casey Concepcion, because he's a real life wide receiver.
Put him in there. We need to get the data up here. This is based off of consensus. We need the consensus to go up. Everyone that studies wide receivers like for their living loves Casey Concepcion, and
including us.
I think he's going higher than 29. If I had to say who's going higher than their ranking right now, Casey Concepcion is my answer, no doubt about it.
Yeah, we have to do the work for the people out there. Like, I totally get how the best people in the business rank players, and in these mock draft simulators, they go on and on and on with this. This is the tiering. It's Lemon, it's Jordan Tyson, it's so on and so forth. And maybe Casey Concepcion's name wasn't mentioned until NFL Combine Week for a lot of people. But when you go back and actually watch him, and we do our wide receiver rankings later this week, it wouldn't be shocking at all if he rounds out this class in a year or 2 or 3 from now as the best wide receiver in the 2026 NFL draft. So let's do our part and put Casey Concepcion at 13 overall. And if you think that's early, man, I think Casey Concepcion to like 19 overall makes sense. I could see it 16 overall to the New York Jets. More and more of these teams are going to love someone with a Casey Concepcion's game. All right, Baltimore Ravens at 14. I think another Casey Concepcion team potential.
Hell yeah. I would love that. They need somebody that can do that. I think that Vega is the one that stands out the most, that he's the most common pairing for round 1 submissions and Ravens only submissions. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I also think that wide receiver can make some sense as well.
Oh, this one's pretty tough.
I wish there's an edge rusher. They're just not an edge rusher that I would draft this high.
Vega can't play center, and that's kind of where we've been putting Spencer Fano in this spot in the past too, because he's been, taking center drills. I'm not sure if they'll take like an outright guard in this class. Like I think already have 3 players competing for 2 of those spots, albeit those 3 players are Andrew Voorhees and Emory Jones, who they took in the 3rd round last year, and then John Simpson, who they just re-signed. Interesting.
Vega's really good, man.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the most common for both the fans and the round 1 guys. Let's throw them a bone.
Monroe Freeling is still available. I understand Ronnie Stanley is there, but like at some point you have to find a Ronnie Stanley replacement down the line. Okay. We'll go with Vega Ioti out of Penn State to play that left guard spot for them. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Could they make it another surprise wide receiver with Mekhi Lemon, or is there another possibility here you see from them?
There's not a good answer for the Bucs. I've thought about this one a lot. If you guys can sell me on any edge rusher here, I would be open to it. I just don't feel comfortable with any of them. I thought Messidor was the best, and then I was listening to Mel Kiper, I believe it was, and they were hinting that he just might fall to day 2 because of
it's kind of what I've been suggesting.
Injury.
Like,
yeah.
To me, the Akeem Messidor profile just does not go round 1. I mean, he is old and he is injured.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know what you do with the Bucs. Like this is a team that can go with a bunch of different positions.
All right. Here's my pitch. Just like we did with Casey Concepcion, there is one name that needs to be going higher in these mock drafts, and it's Malachi Lawrence out of UCF.
Yeah.
What? He's 43rd overall right now in consensus. His range to me is 15 to 22. I brought it up with the Chargers weeks ago at 22, but 15, the Bucs could not get an edge rusher in free agency. And Malachi Lawrence, you said it, Hayden. I mean, Keldrick Falk and Mesidor and TJ Parker were players mentioned above and ranked above him for months. When you go and watch them, who stood out more often? Who popped more often? Was it Malachi Lawrence versus those guys? Yes, it was.
Yeah, definitely was. I think that's a benefit of you and I don't watch college ball. We come to the process late, but we have our own opinions. And I think we can kind of realistically look at these players like, why was he ranked super highly? I mean, like Peter Woods is like another one of these guys to me. Is like, he doesn't look at the athletic profile, look at the production, look at his movement ability. Like he doesn't look like these type of guys that go typically in this range. And I think a lot of those edge rushers that you named fit into that bucket to me.
The only curveball I'll throw in this is Kenyon Sadiq as a possibility. I understand they already still have pass catchers. But like those seam throws that Baker Mayfield does like to try to fit between, the linebackers and the safeties, Kenyon Sadiq in that area would make some sense. I mean, we've seen Kate Otten catch a bunch of those, and I know they re-signed him, but we're still going to go with Malachi Lawrence here at 15 overall.
Ooh-wee.
Boost that 43rd. I mean, come back to me in a couple weeks if you all disagree down in the comments. I guarantee you, where was Concepcion like 30th, and then Malachi Lawrence at 43? When the NFL draft hits, they'll be closer to 13 and 15 than they were at those spots. What if we lived in a world where you got discounts on the places you ordered from the most, or even the items you purchased the most? Me, right now, that's diapers. Baby cries. I changed his diaper. That one was pee. 5 minutes later, baby cries. Check it. That one's poop. Rinse, repeat. Rinse, repeat. Diapers, diapers, diapers. Well, Cash App just released a new status program for the way people actually spend called Cash App Green. It unlocks new ways for you to pay, get rewarded, and easily grow or manage your money on your terms. Now, when you spend at least $500 a month with Cash App Card or Cash App Pay, you earn green status, which unlocks benefits like up to $200 of free overdraft coverage, high borrower limits, and custom personalized cashback offers, maybe on diapers, every Friday at places you love to shop. Turn every day spending into status with Cash App Green. Download Cash App today or visit cash.app/new to learn more about this and other great features launching now. For limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use the code CASHAPP10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Cash App Green, overdraft coverage, borrow, cashback offers, and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for more disclosures. New York Jets at 16 overall. Just to rewind, we gave them Arvell Reese with the 2nd overall pick. Should we slot in one of these wide receivers because it can't be an offensive tackle in Monroe Freely?
No, it's not going to be Freeling. Receivers make sense. They still, I think, need cornerback help would be another spot. They're replacing, trying to play Sauce Gardner. So, yeah, they kind of go a million different directions. I feel like Jordan Tyson is too much like the guys they already have on the team. But that's the number one according to Jets fans. It's Tyson. That's what they're leaning towards.
Wow. Yeah, I'll pull that up right now. Vega Ione number 1 at 16, but then if you go, like you said, it's 35% from 40 Jets fans mocks. want Jordan Tyson. I mean, we're going to have 7-second dropbacks with Adonai Mitchell, Garrett Wilson, and Jordan Tyson.
Just like this the whole time.
It's the route god TikTok.
It really is.
Releases. Okay, should we let the people have what they want?
Let's give it to them, Jets fans. You earned it.
Okay. Jordan Tyson. They've hurt you enough, this team has, Jets fans. So we're going to give you Jordan Tyson at 16 overall. And that brings us to the Detroit Lions at 17. We talked about it for weeks. Dave Burkett, beat writer, that Penei Sewell was moving from right tackle to left tackle. Guess what? At the owners' meetings, Dan Campbell said the same thing. So now it's news. So with that in mind, Hayden, they also did sign a potential right tackle fill-in, but we have some other potential names here too.
Yeah, I think that edge rushers still very much on the table for him as well. There are a bunch of right tackles though in this class. Like it's Ianchor and Blake Miller are in this range. Caden Proctor is a tier 2 below what like Penei Sewell was, who played left tackle and will maybe kick out to right tackle in the league as a heavy tackle with pretty decent feet. So I think that would be an option. They just don't have any edge rusher depth, in my opinion.
The edge rushers, though,
it's so bad.
I'm going to stiff arm and say, no, we can't give him an edge rusher in this spot.
Okay.
Monroe Freeling has played about 300 snaps at right tackle. Like he's obviously played the vast majority, over 1,200 snaps over the last 2 seasons at left tackle. But I mean, to you, is Monroe Freeling the pure best top tackle available?
Or do the Lions really want Monroe Freeling? And this is all a smoke screen.
Possibly.
That Penei Sewell is going to left tackle and they draft Monroe Freeling. They're just kidding. Penei Sewell is going to play right tackle.
I mean, they could easily say, no, just kidding, and just keep him at right
just
side.
Kidding.
If yeah.
It's a smoke screen. Let's go Monroe Freeling.
All right. Love that. 18 overall. And that could be at left tackle or right tackle, you know? Our guy, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell can make that decision after the draft. 18 overall. This is the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I'm going to guess one of the highest pairings here is Dylan Thieneman.
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous. 41% of Vikings fans picked Dylan Thieneman. It's 70% for just the round 1 submissions out there, which it's not a 70% chance. I will say, let's mix it up round 1 submissions. Yeah, Mekhi Lemon is falling. Could they this would be the 4th skill guy that they've invested heavily in: Hawkinson, Addison, and Justin Jefferson. I think maybe that's too much. I think Thieneman is probably the one I would go with though.
Yeah, I think we still have to go Thieneman, but it is on my radar that Vikings fans that are so close to this have been throwing in Caden McDonald's name 10% of the time.
Wow.
In round 1 at 19 overall, or excuse me, at 18 overall.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Maybe that's just, hey, we literally don't have any defensive tackles other than Jalen Redmond, who is fantastic, left on here, and we need a DT, so he goes in round 1. But Caden McDonald is a specific type of defensive lineman.
Yeah, and this could be Emmanuel McNeil Warren as well. You know, like maybe the league still likes him. Who knows? All
right, let's go Dylan Thieneman at 18. He certainly would have been in consideration here at 19 to the Carolina Panthers, but also on the board is Mekhi Lemon, and then some offensive linemen. I mean, you have big, massive, beefy boy in Caden Proctor, or more of a nimble, athletic left tackle in Caleb Lomu, or some defensive pieces. Your thoughts?
Did you believe the team on the microphone? They just straight up listed wide receiver, safety, tight end, and they said that they don't believe in depth. I think it was kind of a shot at left tackle where they have 2, injured guys. We can debate how much depth they have at that position, but they kind of straight up said, like Kenyon Sadiq, one of the wide receivers, or Thieneman were kind of the calls. That passes the smell test to me, looking at the roster and like the likelihood that these guys are dropping in the range here. To me, I think Lemon would be awesome on the Panthers, where you have size on the perimeter and then Lemon's running all this, the kind of the choice routes underneath. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah. They said that they are trying to build the offense and bring players to the team that fit Bryce Young. That's important because on offense, the only player they brought in terms of skill position players is John Mechie, and that's it. So I would expect one of their top 3 round picks to be a wide receiver, a tight end, or a running back.
And it's probably a more slotty flanker, right? That's Lemon.
Now, with that said, They also need to get cheaper on offensive line. It's one of the highest paid offensive lines in the league. The Rasheed Walker stuff did not boost that. I mean, that was $4 million. But Ike Ekwonu literally might miss half of, if not this entire season. And then after that, are you certainly going to extend him on top of that? Maybe not. I think the cheapest way to get cheaper on offensive line, the quickest way, is to draft one. And like, I'm going to keep siding with Caleb Lomu here.
Okay. Yeah. I just don't see Lemon falling much further than this. We're going to have to find a landing spot soon.
I think that they would take Kenyon Sadiq over Mekhi Lemon.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I don't live in the Carolinas.
I mean, it's between Sadiq and Caleb Lomu for me.
Let's do Sadiq.
Which one do you want to pick?
I mean, let's just split the difference. They said on the microphone, tight end, safety, and wide receiver. So let's go with the tight end.
Okay. Kenyon Sadiq is the pick. Dallas Cowboys are back on the clock, 20th overall. Who are you taking?
Yeah, so we gave them McCoy at 12, I believe, right? Yeah, so we have a corner off the board. So now we're running into the edges, which we don't love, and the linebackers, which we kind of don't love. And I think that's why this is a team that can easily trade up. So I don't feel good about this spot. Is it like CJ Allen too early? Are we going to just bite the bullet, and are they going to draft one of these edge setting types, whether that's Keldrick Falk or TJ Parker, who are just like long arm bull rush types who can kind of set the edge in the run game, although not that crazy good in my opinion. Or they Cassius Howell as our Chop Robinson, just throw him in there. Not a clean fit here.
They were among the top, and I think Sadiq could fit here too. Like those seam routes with Dak that he loves to throw could absolutely work. Is Mekhi Lemon a possibility? We always talk about CeeDee Lamb, slot maestro. Obviously you have George Pickens on the outside, but their third wide receiver, they've tried a lot of things and it just has not worked at all. Would Jerry look at this and be like, well, we couldn't trade up and get a superstar, but I can pitch a third wide receiver in round one?
Oh man, that would just be so much investment.
Well, especially with George Pickens like only playing in the franchise tag and them not sure when he's going to show up because of
they have to get that one done though. They have to get that one done. He is best player available. So I don't think this scenario is really going to play out. So we could give it to him. I can see CJ Allen, linebacker, Georgia.
I'll pitch two here for you. I think it will either be based on who's available, Mekhi Lemon or Keldrick Falk, because Falk is big, 270, younger. I mean, I would be stunned if they take Akeem Mesidor like the fans are suggesting here.
Well, if it's Lemon and then part of the package to get Myles Garrett is CeeDee Lamb or something crazy like that. You never know. Mekhi Lemon it is. I can't take Keldrick Falk over Mekhi Lemon. This is just insane to me.
Okay. So let's go Mekhi Lemon in this spot. That brings us to 21 and the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of defensive linemen and offensive linemen are available here.
Yep. Steelers fans want Vega Ione. That would make a ton of sense to me. Then it's a bunch of wide receivers after that.
Of them.
Yeah, but then it's wide receiver as the other top options for Steelers fans. That makes sense to me. And like kind of like the dancing type of guy at the line of scrimmage, like the Jordan Tysons and that world, I think would make some sense next to DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. So could it be Caden Proctor, like, and kick him inside the guard? I can definitely see that. And then you have like a Broderick Jones replacement if he doesn't take the next step at left tackle. I think that Proctor would even make some sense.
Man, I think we put ourselves in a pickle with this selection here.
I like Proctor. Play him at left guard, be Sayamalu, or Broderick Jones isn't cutting it, and now you have Proctor at left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting name like Denzel Boston. I think we both compared him to Michael Pittman. That
would be a tall wide receiver room.
Hey, okay, we'll give him Caden Proctor. 22 LA Chargers. Now frequently from you and I, the Malachi Lawrence team. He is no longer on the board. So who might fill that position for them?
This is a team that needs some edge juice to it. So I can see Harbaugh looking at Keldrick Falk and be like, yeah, that's a big guy right there.
Powerful. Can line it up in multiple alignments.
I can see it. He has nowhere near the explosiveness as a Khalil Mack, but Khalil Mack has been such a good run defender, edge setter type that they can be like, all right, we're at least getting that part of the profile to a degree with Keldrick Falk. Like TJ Parker's offering the same exact stuff to that. So I don't know how you even split the difference between those two guys.
Or should we scroll down to someone like Caleb Banks and go totally off the board with that?
Oh, I love Caleb Banks. I can see Harbaugh being like, yeah, they don't make him like that. Let's do Banks. Why not?
All right. I love it when a plan comes together. Caleb Banks to the Chargers at 22. That brings us to 23. And the Philadelphia Eagles, I've been pitching offense with this pick. A few years ago, that's where all the salary cap went. You go from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown to Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, both offensive tackles in Mailata and Lane Johnson, even Landon Dickerson. That's why all the draft picks were spent on the defense side of the ball. At some point, all those defensive players, and Jordan Davis just did, are going to have to get paid, so they have to get cheaper on offense. This lines up. I mean, you can take an offensive tackle. You can take a wide receiver. Which one of those are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, the hard part is Loma's a left tackle. Maybe you kick him to right side, but you said he's left-handed or whatever it was. So are you doing the Lane Johnson thing and have him be a backup? He doesn't really have guard body either. So could Blake Miller just be the better right tackle to replace Lane Johnson? I don't see guards in this range necessarily. Pregnon would be pretty early versus consensus and how I viewed him out there. And then it's the wide receivers. I'm not sure if I saw 23rd overall in Omar Cooper tape, but I know some people did. I think Denzel Boston, that's a little bit early for him as well, but nothing too crazy. Sadiq just left. So there's not a clean player here to me.
Since we're, forcing players up higher than consensus has them, but I think they'll end up closer to where we're placing them. Let's put Blake Miller in this spot. Okay. I could also see even Max Ianacher in this spot, someone who
definitely
hasn't played a ton of football, but is massive. And when he has,
great mover,
is high level stuff.
I think he can be a guard for this year too. The right guard spot, I think, needs some help. And I think that he can play guard and then learn from Lane Johnson at right tackle. So I think Ianacher would be actually a really good fit for them.
And with Blake Miller, he's played left tackle. He has played right tackle. He has played both sides. Okay, let's give him Ianacher then. Cleveland Browns at 24. We gave them David Bailey at the top.
Hell yeah.
Skirted around offensive tackle. And guess what? They have multiple ones here.
Lomu. I think this is Loma. They need a left tackle. Perfect. Well done, Browns. So we finally did something positive for Cleveland. Let's go.
Just give us the reins, Andrew Berry, and see what magic happens. Okay, 25. And the Chicago Bears. I feel like this is another tough one. And in the past, we've given them Caleb Banks up front. Do any of these names stick out to you here?
I think this is closer to the range where I can see the guys that I don't love on tape, where Keldrick Falk, it hits a lot different at 25 than 15th to me. So, I mean, same thing with Messidor. He's sliding. He's a little bit older. He's got some injury history, but if your team clears him, I do think that he's got more juice than the 25th overall pick. So I think this is a more appropriate range for these type of guys, where if they fell into the second round, we wouldn't be surprised. And if they went to 25th overall, I don't think we would crucify the Bears either. So I'm looking at the front seven on defense in particular for them. And I think Falk, Messidor, Peter Woods, these types, don't love them necessarily, but Emmanuel McNeil.
97 fan mocks from the Bears. And at the top is Emmanuel McNeil Warren at 26%. Maybe they know something because, again, when you click out of this and just the general, he's second at 18%.
Yeah, they just lost both of their safeties. They brought in Kobe Bryant and then Cam Lewis. They still need a strong safety. Emmanuel McNeil Warren's a good call.
Okay.
That's why we like this data. Let's trust them. Chicago fans are plugged in.
26, this is the Buffalo Bills. We got crucified for taking them corner previously. Their edge spot is still in flux. I mean, I will add, Brandon Beane loves some just straight down the middle type edge rushers. And that is TJ Parker or Keldrick Falk kind of to a T.
Yeah. Have they learned their lesson? Maybe they haven't, and they're just going to do the same thing. So I think Keldrick Falk as a Buffalo Bill makes a lot of sense to me.
The name that I did bring up last time, and actually Bills fans responded at a high level, was Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle at Ohio State, to, again, shore up that interior defensive line spot. Again, they want Casey Concepcion 29%. Everyone wants.
They should want him. They should want him.
Except for consensus boards out there for some reason. Okay, let's give them Keldrick Falk.
Beautiful.
27 and the San Francisco 49ers. Should they get frisky and go wide receiver with Omar Cooper Jr. and pair him with Ricky Pearsall and Mike Evans? Or could it be corner and Avion Terrell? Or could it be an edge like TJ Parker?
Well, I do think that Messidor would fit this area. I mean, they're kind of win now. He's ready to go. Like they're trying to win the Super Bowl right now. Like we don't know about Trent Williams long term, Nick Bosa long term. Like Mike Evans on a one. Like who's most ready to play right now? Like to me, it is the 25-year-old. Right? I think that's where it's going to play into his favor. I think that him falling to 27 like is adjusting for some of this. Like the rest of these guys are just like not like round one guys. Like that's just the reality of this. And I think that Messidor had a lot of juice on tape and was highly productive.
Okay, so Casey Concepcion off the board, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren off the board, and that brings up Omar Cooper Jr. at 13%. I mean, obviously fans want something flashy here,
of course,
in terms of wide receivers, but both those names, and Omar Cooper Jr. and Denzel Boston, are available. Man, 71. That's not a small amount. I mean, they're wide receivers right now. They did add Christian Kirk as like a win now slot pass catcher, if you wanted to go in that department. And then, this Trent Williams thing is still kind of like hanging over the top.
Man, I don't remember them getting Christian Kirk. This is like news to me. I must have been away for that day. I like Messidor. I can see them liking, one of these like corners, like Terrell, as an outside guy as well.
No interest in Blake Miller here?
Yeah, I have interest in Blake. I think Blake Miller is more likely to go in round one than not. We're running out of options, so.
Yeah. And like
it's last call. It's Blake Miller and then it's nobody else, so it's.
Yeah. I mean, I just think Blake Miller is going to be a top 27 pick, maybe even top 25 pick. So let's go with Blake Miller and get yelled at by 49ers faithful. 28, Houston Texans probably wanted Blake Miller here.
We should have saved it. we can go back. Hey, this is a difference versus the other site. You can go back a pick. So we're going to click Blake Miller. Just click him and let's pick somebody else. You don't have to redo the whole mock draft simulator. That's a benefit of underdogmockdraft.com.
Man,
Messidor.
I want to force Messidor into round 2.
Why?
Because he's going to go in round 2.
I'll take you on that. I think he's going round 1. So.
Okay. We will have a friendly wager. Okay, then I'll just give him to him since I'm going to win that bet.
Okay.
All right, that brings back Blake Miller to the board for the Houston Texans. They are mismatching every single combination of the top 5 offensive linemen that could start for them. I still don't think they're done in that area. And if that's the case, Blake Miller might be like a day 1 starter for them.
Yeah. And I just keep going back to the Braden Smith. They signed him and immediately Rapshi was like, he could play guard. I'm like, he's played tackle only. All right. Now he's playing guard. Okay. There's something up there.
All right, people. My wife and I just moved into a new home. You know the drill. You get inspections, you get estimates, things to fix, the plumbing, the HVAC, the electrical, the roof, all that type of stuff. If you are going through a similar thing right now, I implore you to add life insurance onto that list. First of all, it's a lot easier to obtain and it's far, far less expensive. And I'll point you in the direction of Ethos, where you can get up to $3 million in coverage, and some policies are as low as $2 a day that are billed monthly. The reason why it's easy is that it is not complicated and it is 100% online. There is no medical exam required, and you can only answer a few questions, and that's all that you need. You get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. When I signed up for life insurance, someone came to my door at 7:30 in the morning, sat in the kitchen around the dining table with them for an hour and a half. That was not with Ethos. So again, protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. It is much, much simpler. Get your free quote at ethos.com/the show. That is ethos.com/the show. You never think about life insurance. Hopefully this forces you to do that now. Kansas City Chiefs at 29. Let's rewind back to the 9th overall pick where they took Carnell Tate. Obviously, corner and safety are the 2 other spots. I can see them loving Avion Terrell. I know he just had an injury at his pro day, but man, the dude is so smooth out there.
Really smooth. I think pretty smart as well. I think Avion Terrell could be a nickel for them, and that's where Trent McDuffie was like really shining. And this is, I think, the exact pick that they took McDuffie. If not exact, it was like right in this range. So I think they can play the board here and take Avion Terrell instead of paying McDuffie $30 million a year.
Miami Dolphins and pick 30. Also, to rewind, 11th overall, they took Spencer Fano, offensive lineman. Should we just give them Omar Cooper Jr. here?
That makes sense. I think he's a good building piece for him. I think he's got a really high floor and can kind of do, some slot stuff, some outside stuff. I think he's a good building block wide receiver.
Yeah, and look, if we go with like Bobby Slowick, and who knows exactly how that fit's going to be with Malik Willis. God, my brain and names today is all over the place. I'm sure I've even said some that I didn't even catch during this mock draft. Malik Willis and Bobby Slowick, he loves those crossers, man, and Omar Cooper on these crossers, get him up to speed, some yards after catch capabilities. We've even seen him throw screens to Nico Collins and Tank Dell during his time with the Houston Texans on top of that. So while I would not be shocked if Omar Cooper Jr. is not a first-round pick, I think in this regard, 30th overall makes sense.
Yep, I've seen their wide receiver depth chart. You can sell them on any of these guys.
Or Colton Hood here, the corner one.
I really like Colton Hood, man.
Is up there as well. 31 to the New England Patriots. Good football team, but maybe they could add Peter Woods, or they could add CJ Allen, or they could add a wide receiver in Denzel Boston, or they could add an edge in Zion Young.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the range where Cassius Howell, we know we're not getting a full-time player, but like Caleb on Chason type of role for Cassius Howell, I can see that, just pure speed off the edge, can turn the corner. Like he really can bend. Like some people we say can bend that they can't bend. They're just really fast. Cassius Howell can legitimately turn the corner. So I think even as a small part-time player, short arm guy, I would not be surprised if you went, 31st, 32nd, somewhere in that range.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Titans or Patriots fans, but I think Mike Vrabel was also with the Titans when they selected Vic Beasley, and he also had short arms. So I don't know if he's as into the negatives of short arms as other head coaches and defensive-minded guys are with pass rushers.
Yeah, and Vrabel likes to get his hands on these guys. You saw that video of Max and Answer. Maybe he's going to wrestle Cassius Howell and see how much of the arms actually matter.
Well, I mean, I think Vrabel has an edge compared to all these other GMs and head coaches. I think they're going to be looking at these offensive linemen, especially right tackles. And he gets to test their grip immediately.
He's just on them.
Do you think he gets sore at all from that, or do you think they get more sore at the end?
Oh, he's for sure. Dude, have you worked out recently? Once you turn 30, everything's sore. That can't be feeling good. But I bet he likes the soreness. He's a freak.
Cassius Howell was the pick at 31. We're going to close out round one with the Seattle Seahawks at pick 32. I mean, there's numerous, I feel like, directions we could go in here. None perfect. They did lose a ton of defensive backs. So Colton Hood or Brandon Cisse. And Hayden, a name that I've been hearing quite a bit at the end of round one is Chris Johnson out of San Diego State.
I really like Chris Johnson's tape. I thought Colton Hood was a little bit feistier and kind of fun. And I think that the Seahawks would appreciate that kind of tenacity from Colton Hood. By the way, Seahawks fans, they have Jermod McCoy as their most likely guy. I got news for you. He ain't reaching 32. So number 2 in line for them is Colton Hood. I think that's more appropriate.
The issue, here we go. Let's just look at arm length. Okay. Chris Johnson's at like 30 and a half, and it doesn't mean as much now without Pete Carroll in the building. We've seen their defensive backs have all different sizes. Colton Hood is at 31 and 3/8. Let's go Colton
Hood is on your ass, man. He's a fun corner to watch. Like, he's just one of these guys that there's some reps of him losing, but for a lot of them, it's just like physical. He's a good athlete, and he just wants to get in the battle with you. I can just see the Seahawks being like, that's perfect for us.
All right. We'll close out round one with Colton Hood. Submit our draft so we get those early picks for Casey Concepcion, early picks for Malachi Lawrence, early picks for a few others in there. And now we'll go to round two. The Jets kicked this thing off in round 2, pick 33. Again, number 2 overall selected Arvell Reese, and then we gave Jets fans what they wanted for once at 16 overall, Jordan Tyson. So don't need an off-ball linebacker here in CJ Allen, who might be the faller into round 2. But there are some other positions here.
Yeah, I think corner still stands out to me as well. And I think that we have like Brandon Cisse available. Chris Johnson, you just mentioned. I think that he has some round 1 odds to him. I actually like Chris Johnson's tape a little bit more than Brandon Cisse. So I think Chris Johnson would be a good fit for the New York Jets.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn just gets to watch cornerback tape heading into day 2. I mean, like the longest 24 hours these teams can have. And he makes Chris Johnson his guy with a 33rd overall pick. I mean, that's like 3 first-round picks that they get. That's awesome.
There you go.
All right, Arizona Cardinals at pick 34, winding all the way back at number 3. They took Francis Malinois. They can take just about anything here. I feel.
Yeah. Could it be CJ Allen? He's green dot player for Georgia, and he's just somebody that like was just, you can feel his communication. He's more of a downhill thumper type than like an all around like stud athlete, which makes him maybe more of a round 2 candidate than round 1 guy. I would be open to that. TJ Parker would be somebody to push the pocket. There was some weird stuff with Josh Sweat, like how much does he even want to be Arizona Cardinal, but they're paying Josh Sweat a bunch of money. So I think those two kind of stand out to me.
Yeah. I mean, they have Mac Wilson at linebacker and then other guys like Cody Simon, and then they're going to figure out what Zaven Collins is.
I like CJ Allen here.
I like CJ Allen here as well. 35, the Tennessee Titans took Ruben Bain at 4th overall. Where might the Tennessee Titans look in round 2 with their edge rusher now off the board? I mean, Denzel Boston is very different than Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, I think Denzel Boston actually be a really good fit. They reduced Calvin Ridley's contract. That's a short-term deal. Denzel Boston, Wan'Dale Robinson, and then, the 2 rookies that they drafted last year, who I just don't think they're going to really pan out that much. They do need an X receiver type. And I wouldn't be surprised if Denzel Boston is an early round 2 guy than a round 1 guy. I think we kind of, based off of our video, this is the range we believe he goes in. And I can justify going Ruben Bain and then a complimentary wide receiver in round 2 for Cam Ward.
Yeah, I mean, after Denzel Boston, it's Chris Bell, who you and I like, but coming off an ACL and all athlete, then Jeremy Bernard, who's kind of the opposite and does just a little bit of everything. But I think Denzel Boston, like you can make a case with second year Cam Ward for your wide receiver room being Denzel Boston, Calvin Ridley, and Wan'Dale Robinson.
That's solid.
And then, DK is your 4th, who can be, in and out. I mean, Denzel Boston's like a good Alec Ayumanor,
He really is. That's a great comp.
Okay. That brings us to 36th overall, and the Las Vegas Raiders certainly took Fernando Mendoza at number 1. So who do they run that back with? Because they need a little bit of everything. And I actually think there are some offensive linemen here in round 2 that could end up going in round 1. And they're viewed as interior guys, but Emmanuel Pregnan, and definitely been hearing about Chase Besantis at the end of round 1 lately too.
Yeah, both guards there. I can see guard. They also just don't have enough edge rushers if they don't plan on keeping Max Crosby long-term as well.
I think they are now. I think they're locked into it.
Yeah, they're at least not banking on him leaving anymore. Could you go up to the best available players? Like I do think like TJ Parker's probably not going to fall too much further than this. Is kind of something I've been thinking about. But is he too close to like Kwity Paye would be a little bit. Peter Woods, they don't have any defensive tackle juice. Let's go Peter Woods. Like that's just somebody in theory has some juice. I think we can argue how much juice there is, but there's a lot of people that's still holding on to top 20 faith for Peter Woods. I think some people would be very surprised that he's even available.
You could also look at corner as well with, Cisse on top of it. I would throw in Besantis, but if you want to go with Peter Woods, we can roll with.
Let's go Woods.
Peter Woods. New York Giants, Jeremiah Love at number 5. They're not going to take an edge. They're not going to take an interior defensive lineman. Are they going to take an offensive lineman with this pick, or maybe another spot here?
Yeah, I do think that the right guard spot's up for grabs. So I think that Besantis or Pregnan would make a lot of sense there. So let's go Besantis. But that's, I think, a true toss-up of how teams are going to have that ranked.
Okay, we'll go with that. And I realized what I should have done, Hayden, is make more of a case for Ty Simpson at 34 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. But you steamrolled me so quickly that I wasn't able to make that. So maybe we're going to trade back into round 2 for Ty Simpson here.
Maybe. I don't know. Ty Simpson doesn't move my needle. Clip it. Oh, God.
He is visiting the Arizona Cardinals. And like I said in our prospect profile video of Chase Basantis, of Ty Simpson. That type of tree makes sense for a player like that. All right, we'll give the Giants Chase Basantis here. Here we go. Pick 38, Houston Texans. This is in the Washington Commanders deal for Larry Tunsil. At 28, they took Blake Miller. So at 38, who might they take?
I think they don't have a quality edge 3 and edge 4.
I like that.
How about TJ Parker? He's a rotational push the pocket guy, but very physical. And, Danielle Hunter, they're making him like a really high paid edge rusher, but he's getting a little bit older now. And I think having some depth behind him makes a lot of sense. So I think TJ Parker is probably still going top 40. He's a faller on our board. I think he does. It's one of those like underrated needs that you don't think about because they have 2 studs, but teams rotate guys all the time. You need more depth than they have.
TJ Parker's the pick. Brings us to 39. And the Cleveland Browns right now, before a possible Myles Garrett trade, they do have pick 6. That was David Bailey, edge rusher. And then 24, they were able to get Caleb Lomu. Wow. Arguably like 2 top 15 talents. So at 39, you could shore up the interior run defense with Caden McDonald if you wanted to. You could add more offensive linemen on top of that. But we haven't hit on wide receiver for them. And the wide receivers on the board are Chris Bell and Jeremy Bernard.
Couldn't get much different there. Do they want to do I think this is still a little bit early for Jeremy Bernard, in my opinion. Oh man, this would be another one of these Ty Simpson teams. Like, would they want to go that way? I'm getting the sense that they don't want to do that, and they want to swing for the fences next year. So I wouldn't really.
I've read something with Todd Monken. He was asked about Deshaun Watson, and maybe this is just a deflection tactic, so we didn't have to answer questions. He basically said, "Well, I haven't watched what Deshaun Watson recently put on tape."
Well, yeah. What has he recently put on tape would be the follow-up.
Well, I even
question.
mean like his last few starts.
Sure.
Well, maybe that's why he is the odds-on favorite to be Week 1 starter.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Because he was horrible.
It wasn't great. It was not great. I also mentioned, we always say Myles Garrett. Denzel Ward is another guy that they can trade. He's an older corner, and there's some cap finesse going on with the timing of trading Denzel Ward. And I think that corner could be another option. So like Brandon Cisse could be an option for them. I think the wide receivers, like maybe they were like, hey, let's swing for the fences, Chris Bell. They already have a lot of volatility in that room. I think Chris Bell would be maybe a little bit too much volatility. How about Brandon Cisse? I think just acknowledging that Denzel Ward is a kind of quiet trade candidate.
Browns faithful is going to hate that, but we'll give them Brandon Cisse here. Next, the Kansas City Chiefs at number 9 took Carnell Tate. Then 29 took Avion Terrell. The board is yours with a bunch of interior defensive linemen, Caden McDonald or Christian Miller. I am putting an X through Lee Hunter's name here. You could add some edge pass rush in Zion Young if you wanted to. Or you can have, Chris Bell do the Rashee Rice stuff because Rashee Rice is tumultuous all season.
Sort by edge. I like R. Mason Thomas and Cassius Howell. I think those are perfect for them.
You took Cassius Howell in round 1.
Okay, well, perfect. Then R. Mason Thomas is the round 2 version of him. A lot of juice. He doesn't have a lot of size. But R. Mason Thomas is a rotational, like edge 3, maybe eventually an edge 2. I think that's what the Chiefs are looking for. They're so reliant on Carl Loftus and Chris Jones. Obviously, Chris Jones getting up there in age, that I do think that they need to go premium position here. And I think that R. Mason Thomas has a lot more juice than Zion Young. By the way, Zion Young is like, it's his character concern stuff with him. Like there's a couple things on his plate right now.
41 and the Cincinnati Bengals. We know at number 10, they took Caleb Downs. So the world is their own in terms of figuring out what they can take in round 2. Defense still applies. I mean, defensive tackles, they did add Jonathan Allen after he was cut by the Minnesota Vikings. You have BJ Hill, you have Chris Jenkins, who was a second round pick just a couple years ago and who hasn't done anything. And then, on your edges, you have Miles Murphy, you have Boye Mafe, you have Shamar Stewart. Could this be a off-ball linebacker team like Jacob Rodriguez?
Yeah, this might be a tad early for Rodriguez. I think, 40s and 50s is kind of, maybe even 60s for Rodriguez. I think guard still is like in play for them. Like we've said, Emmanuel Pregnon a bunch. Could he go compete with Dylan Fairchild, the 3rd rounder from last year? Dalton Reisner, veteran. Not like a lot of long-term And then, Caden McDonald would be, he's a faller for us right now. He can definitely stop the run. Just what's their evaluation on their current defensive tackle room? To me, it's not that great, but maybe they have different views on it. So I think the top 4 names that are showing right now, I think that's the right list.
Let's give him Pregnon, and because I think there's a strong chance he goes earlier than this.
Yes, I agree.
Let's take him off the board. 42 and the New Orleans Saints. To remind people, Mansour Delane was their pick at 8th overall. Are there any positions that immediately come to mind? I mean, wide receiver is one, that's for sure.
Yeah. How about Caden McDonald? It's a 3-4 team. Okay. Stop the run. I think that Caden McDonald has some odds of going round 1. Like, I think Tyreek Williams went 26 or whatever it was to the Lions. I think Caden McDonald is maybe a better run defender than Tyreek was. So very similar, but he's fallen to 42. I think this would be a great fit.
43, the Miami Dolphins. To remind people, they went Spencer Fano at number 11, then Omar Cooper Jr. at number 30. So we're probably squarely looking at defensive backfield here, cornerbacks or safeties.
Yeah, who's the best available corners? I think the safeties are off the board. I think it's a little bit early for this range. I think edge rusher, defensive line in general is, to me, very much in play. I think edge in particular. So, let's see who pops up.
None of the names that you like, other than you really like Derek Moore, but Zion Young, Gabe Yakas.
What about defensive tackle? Christian Miller, 3 tech, juice, needs some development. That's why he might fall to 43, but position that they can, it's a different body type than the defensive tackle that they drafted.
To be honest,
last year.
The Packers have taken some interesting, like Devontae Wyatt, for example, in like developmental interior pieces that can get up the field and have some juice to them. Not just in round 1, but like when we get to round 2 and round 3. So Christian Miller is the pick at 43, and now we're at 44. The New York Jets, again, Arvell Reese at number 2. Then they took Jordan Tyson at 16. Even earlier here, they selected, at 33 overall, excuse me. It was Chris Johnson, the cornerback. Could we answer maybe some phone calls here from the Arizona Cardinals and maybe trade some 2027 action?
I was going to say this. I think the Jets and Ty Simpson makes more sense than what the Cardinals are doing, because you have a staff that needs to win now more so than the Cardinals, like at least the coaching staff. And Greg Rosenthal made a great point here. Tannenbaum was the advisor for Aaron Glenn and Muji when they were going through that from the 33rd team. And recently Tannenbaum was saying that Ty Simpson might go 16th overall to the New York Jets. So obviously he's very plugged in with the Jets, and they don't have a good quarterback too. Like right now it's a bunch of guys that you don't want as your quarterback too. So could this be, Geno Smith with a young quarterback, and maybe the last 8 games of the season we see Ty Simpson as Aaron Glenn holds on to his really hot seat.
Ty Simpson at 44 overall. Just to gauge you, okay? Ty Simpson is, let's say, a projected number 24 overall pick to the Cleveland Browns. There are some other teams that maybe he's connected to, like the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. Do you think he goes closer to 24 or 44?
44.
I think it's right in between at 34.
So yeah, you think 34? I can see it. It is the position though. If they don't go round 1, there's no floor anymore. So I think it'd be really cool if the Jets are like, hey, Ty Simpson's our cherry on top at 44, because we just did 3 defensive players or 2 defensive players and a wide receiver that are the position that we need, and then Ty Simpson's like, it's a dart throw.
45 is the Baltimore Ravens. Just to remind people out there, the Ravens took Vega Ione at 14 overall to play their left guard spot. There's, I think, a multitude of positions they could go here. Obviously, they have the Trey Hendrickson addition on the edge, and then the interior piece for them last year with hopefully Nnamdi Madubuike, Justin Madubuike, can't remember which one he changed it to, hopefully coming back this year. That would be like such a massive piece for them. And they also have Big Man Jones in the middle too.
Lamar Jackson knows Louisville tape. He needs a wide receiver with some size. Chris Bell. Just think about the play action shots down the football field. They just need more juice than they currently have, man. Like the Rashad Bateman has just not been hitting that hard. Instead of doing the wide receiver 3 as 33-year-olds, let's get 21-year-old Chris Bell to pair up with Louisville legend Lamar Jackson.
Quickly, and I know I'll just plug in Chris Bell here, at least pull up his player page. This team just like went through an overhaul at the tight end and fullback room. We know that they extended well before that Mark Andrews, but for a team that's been running so many 13 personnel sets or 22 running back sets with Patrick Ricard out there, I mean, all those guys are gone. It's Mark Andrews and Durham Smythe, and Ricard's gone. Kolar's gone. Isaiah
They need a receiver 3. They need a receiver 3 bad. It's just not good enough. If they're not going to have fullbacks on the field, you're going to have to throw a wide receiver out there. And Rashad Bateman's not a good enough wide receiver too for when he's been healthy. It just hasn't been working out. Like let's get some upside. Like if Chris Bell turns into like AJ Brown, like that's how you can possibly win a Super Bowl, or if he's Debo, somewhere in that tier.
If I was a better host during this, I would have said that we have all of the prospect profiles on the wide receivers that have been selected so far. But for Chris Bell, I'm reminding you, go and watch his video after this one if you are a Ravens fan. That brings us to 46 in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some are going to call it a reach. I'm going to say just early, not late, not wrong. Malachi Lawrence at 15 overall. So where might the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look at 46?
I think Jacob Rodriguez makes a lot of sense there. They're looking for, the long-term answer at linebacker. They got Anzalone, but that's, just a veteran. Jacob Rodriguez, million tackles, million punch outs, interceptions, good feel in general. He's just a smaller cat that doesn't hit like crazy hard. He's more of a punch out guy, but I think Todd Bowles would appreciate that. Get some turnovers on defense and position of need.
Indianapolis Colts at 47 do not have a first round pick. We know that Chris Ballard loves him some athletes. So you can't throw Lee Hunter in that group at all. And if we go down this list, I mean, I don't think he's going to be the Eli Stowers team, even if he does love him some athletes. What positions do you think that the Colts could attack here?
So over on UnderdogMockDraft.com, the most common pairings from Colts fans are Jacob Rodriguez, Anthony Hill, R. Mason Thomas, T.J. Parker, Zion Young. Anthony Hill would be the next linebacker. Zion Young would be the next edge rusher. I agree with those two positions. I think this would be as early as Anthony Hill should go, and then I can see Zion Young falling for other reasons. So let's just stick with the Colts fans, what they say.
Okay, Anthony Hill's the pick then. That takes us to 48. The Atlanta Falcons, also a team without a first-round pick, and maybe without one of their edge rushers, too. Would they go Zion Young?
They better learn their lesson, man. That would just do a background check. The Falcons fans, it's Christian Miller, Malachi Lawrence, Denzel Boston, Zachariah Branch, and TJ Parker are the most common selections for this spot. A lot of those guys are off the boards for us. Zachariah Branch would be interesting, just like in state.
Yeah, but
like, I don't know.
Again, our video of him, you kept saying third round. But
we kept saying
all these teams might think, well, we'd love him in the third round, but then if you really have to get him and want him, it's the second round. But like that wide receiver room would be Drake London, then Dotson, then Olamide Zaccheaus, and then Zachariah Branch.
They need Jeremy Bernard. They don't need Branch. They need Jeremy Bernard.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. It's not as sexy. It's not as flashy, but Jeremy Bernard is, the backside concept when Drake London's being double teamed and you just need somebody to catch the football, unlike the Darnells that they had last year. Jeremy Bernard's perfect.
Yes. This has to be the wide receiver pick here. That brings us the Vikings at 49. Earlier on, the Vikings took Dylan Thieneman at 18. What other positions might the Vikings be looking at?
Well, they've had like a million defensive line changes. I think corner, I think they trust my boy, James Pierre, to go compete with the two returners that they have out there.
They also I mean, they did make the move for, I mean, why not center? Can we take the first center off the board here?
It's kind of early. Most of the guys are supposed to go round 3. I can see it. The Auburn kid I liked, but it just seems a little bit early for this. Is 49th overall. Like we don't even see many round 1 centers. I think this would be a little early. Let's go with one of the defensive linemen.
Well, we're not going Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter's not going in our round 2. He can't move. Like he can move on a field when you watch him, But then
sounds good.
No, but then the testing stuff was like brutal. Like absolutely
he
brutal.
He's got too much of a big belly to do the vertical, but how often is he jumping up? How about Grayson Halton if you want, a freak athlete?
Yeah. I mean, Grayson Halton is more upfield. He is more of a pass rusher. He's more aggressive. So I would rather go with Grayson Halton there. 50 and the Detroit Lions. They took Monroe Freeling at 17 overall to maybe play right tackle, to maybe play left tackle. Who knows? You keep mentioning, second edge rusher for that team as well.
Derek Moore is just bull rush after bull rush after bull rush after bull rush. Michigan, bull rush, bull rush, bull rush. I can see Derek Moore fitting in there. He's not overly flashy, but I think if he's collapsing pockets for Aiden Hutchinson to eventually win, I think that makes some sense. The other guys, Josephs has off-field issues. Zion has off-field issues. Dennis Sutton's a freak athlete.
Yeah, I almost wanted to give him to the Colts.
Yeah, I can see that, but I think that can be more round 3. I think Derek Moore, this is the earliest I can see him going, but I do think he'd be a Dan Campbell type in general.
Just hit you in the mouth.
Kneecaps, that's only that.
Of it.
It's literally just in your mouth, in your mouth, in your mouth the whole time.
Okay. Hey, I don't know what's going on with you today, but
I haven't slept enough.
All right, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers at 51 overall. To remind the people out there, they went Kenyon Sadiq at 19 overall. This needs to be an offensive lineman, I think.
I got bad news for you, dude.
I know.
You're gonna have to get creative.
It's rough looking out there, especially at tackle. See, this is why I think
it's
odds on
round 1 for every tackle. Every tackle, it's round 1 or bust. These guys aren't. And Dunker is going to play guard. Yeah. What about nickel? There's some nickels available. I
think that. Scott. I mean, why not Traden Stukes?
Traden Stukes, the Miami kid. I think it's a great range for the Panthers to find their nickel. Stukes is great.
They don't have a starting nickel, basically, right now. Who do you like more, Stukes, or do you like Keontae Scott?
I liked Stukes more, but he played more like legit safety at times too. So I think teams are have to decide.
You need that too.
I like Stukes. Yeah. Let's see what he looks like in training camp.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of slot work from Stukes over the last 3 years.
Great athlete. I like Stukes.
All right. 52 and the Green Bay Packers. Again, they did not have a first round selection because of the Micah Parsons deal. So they did take, no, I was just thinking about the Miami Dolphins. This is the first time the Packers are on the board. What do they need?
Most common pick for Packers fans, it's Chris Johnson, bad news for you. Colton Hood, bad news for you. Malachi Lawrence, bad news for you. Derek Moore, bad news for you. Caleb Banks, bad news for you. So Packers fans, too optimistic. I don't have all their thresholds memorized. I know that they're very particular with their cornerbacks in particular. I think Pons would probably be too small in general for them, but I do know they need corners, and then they need edge rushing depth as well. So it'd be those two positions. Like, would they take a character risk on like Zion Young or something like that?
They have.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Let's give them Zion Young. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 53 overall. Caden Proctor was their pick at 21. So they're back on the board here at 53. Man, things get so thin by the time this pick rolls around. With the Steelers, I mean, at this point, it's even difficult to know exactly what you have to assume that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, and we move on from there. That their offensive linemen, especially with Proctor, are set in stone. The defense is interesting, Hayden, because they do like their corners, but I feel like other teams might want to replace some of these guys. And anyways, I'm just vamping. What do you want to take?
I think it'd be nickel corner, if anything, because they have Dean and Porter, who I view are outside guys. Pons is interesting. He's so tiny, so you'd think nickel, but if you look around the league, the best nickels right now are like, they're so involved in the run game that it's almost the inverse, where I kind of want a big nickel. I don't want like a tiny little nickel anymore, just the way
they have Ramsey and Jaquan Brisker as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. And Brisker didn't get a ton of money, but maybe he lines up as some nickel stuff for them too.
Okay. Could this be a slot type? Like, could this be like a branch team?
Oh,
it doesn't feel very. I can see them doing Branch. Antonio Williams, I can see
Antonio in round 2. Antonio Williams, that is so
okay. We
rich.
kept saying on our Zachariah Branch video that we think that we would pick him maybe in round 3, and then we can see the upside in a very niche role. But we kept saying he's going to go round 2.
What if like Aaron Rodgers is in love with the Eli Stowers stuff and wants him to be Jermichael Finley?
Well,
I've got news for you.
Is Darnell Washington going to go kick Aaron Rodgers' ass if they do that? I would be nervous about that. Let's do Branch.
I was even looking at running back. I don't know if you saw the quote with Mike McCarthy. I think it was Mike McCarthy. Was asked about Caleb Johnson. And he's like, we did 3 Hail Marys and it's basically a clean slate for Caleb Johnson.
Yes. Yeah. What would that mean for the Rico Dowdle sighting though?
No, I know that. Yeah. It wouldn't happen because of Rico.
Let's go Branch. This is what I meant when I once tweeted that the Steelers roster is like low-key pretty good. Like we're struggling to name the positions that they need. Like if Aaron Rodgers was able to turn back the clock at all, like this team would be dangerous. Like this is a better team than last year's Steelers, and they won the division.
And they don't even need like a third edge rusher like Nick Herb.
No, they're so deep on the defensive line.
That.
Derek Harmon's gonna be a monster too. So this team is legit good.
All right, Zachariah Branch to add some juice. And, if we do slant flat over and over, he can get some of those flats and maybe take some of the house.
Yeah, and they don't need Caleb Johnson returning kicks. So I'll put Branch back there.
Okay, I can picture this. After this pick is made, Aaron Rodgers gets asked about it, and he's like, saw some Randall Cobb. And
yeah, okay.
54 and the Philadelphia Eagles. Just remind people, the Eagles selected Max Einacher at 23 overall. He's only going in the first round in these mocks 16% of the time. Up that number. Should we get ahead of a potential AJ Brown trade with a wide receiver, even if it gets kind of gross in this spot?
Yeah, so I can see Brazel going this high. I can see maybe Ted Hurst going this high. That seems a little bit rich for my liking. I don't see a great fit there. Tight end would be interesting because they keep reducing Dallas Goedert. They just keep calling him to the office. They're like, hey, bud, you're going to have to lower your contract again. I'm sorry. So Claire, I can see Oscar Delp. I can see this being tight end. Now, they can't block anybody at tight end.
The edge rushers, like it doesn't sound like Jonathan Grenard's going to get moved at this point.
Yep.
So one of these, like, would Danny Dennis Sutton and his athleticism pop up here? I know Romello Hyde is old. Would he pop up here?
He's character issues. He's light. He would be more like their edge.
Should we just go with the upside then with Danny Dennis Sutton?
I guess. I didn't love this.
I mean, they have taken like J. Hunt in round 3.
Yes.
Sure.
I can see it. It's early for me, but.
Well, I feel like everyone right now is going to be early for you. That was 55 and the LA Chargers. To remind people, Caleb Banks was their pick at 22. And so we're back on the board at 55. And if you look at pure football players, like D'Angelo Pons kind of makes sense here for the Chargers.
I can see that. Safety is another need for them. Free safety, where I'm looking at like the kid from LSU, Halsey. Because they got Tony Jefferson, like begging for the team to re-sign him with like guarantees on his contract. So I think safety is one of their needs, where they have Derwin like as a nickel linebacker in the box, but they need a deep safety. That's something that I would throw out there.
Would one of these interior offensive linemen, like it's Trevor Penning and Cole Strange, how about we go in that direction?
Okay, let's find ourselves an interior lineman.
So there's
Rutledge would be interesting. Okay, guard or Rutledge, center.
And I know you mentioned Dunker. Some of these tackles might pop inside too.
Dunker's going to be an inside guy. I can see it being Dunker or Rutledge. I think this is fine enough.
He's only played right tackle and then just a right guard spot. Let's do Rutledge.
He was a very good athlete.
Okay. Makes sense. 56. And again, the Dolphins just took a guard last year in round 2 with Mike McDaniel as a part of that staff. 56 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is their first pick of the draft. So what are the fans saying over at UnderdogMockDraft.com?
Good call. Jaguars, it's Anthony Hill, the linebacker. Lee Hunter, defensive lineman number 2. That's going to be our selection there. Jacob Rodriguez off the board. Jake Galladay, I don't think he's going to go this high. Another linebacker, really weird profile. And then Pregnon has been drafted. So Lee Hunter, let's get him off the board. You've punished the man enough. 56.
What if he goes after this?
What if? Not in my mock draft.
Okay. 56. Next is 57, and that is the Chicago Bears. They had a pick, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at 25. That was number 1 on the list of wants for Bears fans. So what are we going to give them here?
I mean, you had to assume they're going to find a defensive lineman, whether it's a tackle or an edge rusher at some point. So I would be looking there. Gabe Yakas is kind of an interesting cat, just like all over the place. I got a fun one for you. Jayshawn Barham, Michigan. He's one of these Jalen Walker linebacker edge rushers with a ton of juice, and I absolutely loved watching him play. I don't think he's lasting 100th overall in like the consensus ranking stuff. I think he's going to go round 2. I have him like ranked 42nd on my big board. His movement skills and his violence, like pound for pound violence, is off the charts. He'd be a good pairing. They have 2 massive edge rushers. He's going to be kind of a linebacker, like a smaller version of the Arvell Reese kind of profile. I think a really fun player. Like I'm surprised there's not more buzz from him. I tweeted about it once, and then the Solaks of the world were quote tweeting and be like, "Yeah, this guy rules."
58. The San Francisco 49ers, to rewind it, Akeem Mesidor as an instant edge 3 for them at 27 overall. I mean, if they could stay healthy, Hayden, if they could only stay healthy, they would have a good football team. This is another one of those where they have trotted out like some of the same interior offensive lineman pieces. And especially at center, like shout out Jake Brendel for not basically being on an NFL roster for a few years and now locking in one of these starting center spots, but he's old. Could we maybe look ahead into the future and take their center of the future?
Yeah, Connor Liu would be somebody I think that's a good call out.
Now, they do care about shuttle. They're like the team that most cares about shuttle. There were some Jalen Farmer, Hayden. Was it him? Was it Jalen Farmer? There was someone from Kentucky. No, it was Burton. He hit the shuttle. Now, I'm not saying take him here. All right, we'll just give him a center. Why not Sam Hecht? I mean, I hear that he's the best center in the class. You didn't like him.
I'm indifferent. These guys are all around 3 centers to me. If he goes a little bit earlier than that, I wouldn't be that surprised.
Like that one, 59. And the Houston Texans, earlier on, we gave them Blake Miller. And then earlier in this class, in this round, they took TJ Parker, the edge rusher. So 2 Clemson guys. Could we potentially make it 3 for 3 out of Clemson?
There seems to be another Clemson guy I need to watch repeatedly. Okay, like could they do something interesting at tight end would be something I've always thought about with them. Running back, could they do Jadarian Price versus David Montgomery? That could be very interesting. Price was a backup.
Yeah. I don't know if the Texans are done at running back, like the Woody Marks role player, but you have Dave Montgomery, trade, aging. Maybe they're the other running back team. The tight end shout is kind of interesting too, because we know that their offensive coordinator was a tight ends coach in New England when they ran these multiple tight end sets. Then he went to the Rams and learned under that staff when they were interested in all of these like move and chess piece tight ends. I mean, is Eli Stowers a weird shout in round 2?
I like Oscar Delp. And if this is my round 2 mock draft, Oscar Delp is not sneaking past this.
Okay. Oscar Delp. You got to scroll down, but there he is.
215. Awesome. I mean, what?
Well, let's give him some grace.
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
60 overall, the Chicago Bears. Shout out to all the PFF crew. Just seriously crazy work over these last like decade plus. 60th, Chicago Bears. We just gave them your guy, Jayshawn Barham. We mentioned who they took earlier, and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Who might they take at 60? I mean, they were replacing DJ Moore with Khalif Raymond.
But that's Ben Johnson just might love that. Ben Johnson just might really, really like that. This is a team where I think it's too early for Skylar Bell.
I mean, I could see an Antonio Williams pick here too, but
Antonio Williams would be the slot. It just depends on what I think that they are okay with Luther Burden playing more outside, and then Antonio Williams would be the new slot that would go ahead of Raymond. So, yeah, I think 60th would be like the earliest I would take an Antonio Williams. That he'd kind of pop up on my list, but he would be a fit. I think defensive tackle still very much in play if you want like big citrus or one of those guys at 60th overall.
I mean, they could also be another center team. I know they made a move for Garrett Bradbury, but that doesn't mean they're done at that spot. Like Garrett Bradbury was serviceable at best. So one of these other interior pieces that we're talking about here is a possibility.
Centers just always fall. I don't always agree with it, but it's just kind of the reality. I would say Antonio Williams makes sense. I think defensive tackle also I will throw out there.
Let's give him Antonio Williams.
Okay.
61 and the LA Rams. What are their needs?
Well, who did we give him? I forget.
Casey Concepcion at 13 overall. Duh. I mean, no one else can match that. Stones.
Let's go. Okay. This is tough. They feel good about the right tackle. We gave him the wide receiver. I think linebacker is a good shout out there as well, but we've been taking some backers. So that'd be like the Galde tier of guys, which I think is maybe a little bit too early.
And they took both corners from Kansas City and Jalen Watson and made the deal for Trent McDuffie. Man, this is a fascinating team.
They're so loaded, man. It's like they're going to be a team that is going to take a best player available that we don't think about because they don't really have like a screaming need.
I mean, even their safeties, like they do the Cam Curl, they do the Cameron Kitchens, and they do the Quentin Lakes. And obviously some of those players are.
Do they need edge 3? Like, is edge 3 kind of like one of these, like what we did with the Texans, where the first two guys are solid and then afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, they took Josiah Stewart a couple of years ago, or last offseason in the third round, but he didn't make a mark with that. Could we give him Gabe Yakas? Is he a name that intrigues you?
Yeah, that's good enough. This is the range that he'll go in. I think more round 3, but I think this is the beginning of it.
62 in the Denver Broncos. They did not have a first round pick. That is Jalen Waddle. So what does the machine tell you that Broncos fans want the most at 62 overall?
The Broncos want Jacob Rodriguez, a linebacker, Mike Washington Jr.
Wow.
Number 2, Josiah Trotter, Jadarian Price would be another one. I can see this being Price. I mean, they've been in the mix with all of these veterans. They bring back Dobbins, but it does not seem like they're like sold on the group, and now is Price too similar to like stylistically to what they already have on the roster? That's like 3 guys that weigh 203 pounds each. But it's a good call out that they are looking for running backs. The Dunker kid, who I think is going to be an interior player, he also is number 5 for Broncos fans.
Which one do you want to give them? The running back in Price or the offensive lineman?
Let's go Price.
63 and the New England Patriots took Cassius Howell, your guy, at 31 overall. Arm length be damned. Who might the Patriots look at 63?
I say tight end.
You just want some like football players. Oh,
tight end.
Okay.
There's a bunch of tight ends.
Josh McDaniels has not invested in tight end at all with the Patriots.
Yeah. I think Max Clare would be a good learn from Hunter Henry. I think he's kind of got very similar kind of traits to him, where Hunter Henry had like more burst than your like typical wide tight ends. And I think that's kind of where Max Clare is for me.
We'll say, being in a draft room with Josh McDaniels, he loves the movement types. He had Aaron Hernandez. Then he tried to turn, what's his name? Lance Kendricks into his new one with Michael Ho-Ho Manawanui as his modern day Rob Gronkowski. That did not work at all. And I think Gronk played about 20 more years than Michael Ho-Ho Manawanui did.
Yeah.
We'll give him Max Clare.
I like Clare more.
And then we go to 64 and the Seattle Seahawks. Can I pitch you on Mike Washington Jr. here?
I'm looking at the depth chart. I'm not loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's for a guy and a decision maker in John Schneider, who has changed his ways a little bit, but took Rashad Penny and Kristen Michael like much earlier than anyone else probably would have. Then maybe, all dogs don't learn new tricks. And Mike Washington is his type in this class. I also like high variance, big play stuff that he's going to be missing in that backfield without Ken Walker.
Yep, I can see this for sure. I mean, it's not that crazy that the running back 3 would go 62nd over or 64th overall in the draft. I think it's possible.
Yeah, this would be running back 3. You might think this is ridiculous. I could easily see him trading out of 32 and then getting a running back like immediately after that trade back in like the top of the second round.
I like it.
Mike Washington's the pick, and that closes out the round 2. All 64 picks are in the books. Again, if you have not done this yet, go over to underdogmockdraft.com, fill out either your team's 7-round mock or your own teams or your own, I should say, first round in general. Over 4,000 mocks have been submitted at this time. Make that 5,000 by tomorrow. Why not? Also, we need to get to 170,000 subscribers here on this page.
Good
so
luck.
if you made it this far, you're in the weeds, you're in deep, you're probably one of those. But if not, for some reason, hit that subscribe button right now. Do it. Do it. Okay. We have plenty of prospect profiles on the way. All of the wide receivers are going to be finished by the time next week starts. So go watch another one of those. Hit subscribe. Shout out to Weaves and Moshe behind the scenes. Up the Villa. We'll talk to you guys next time.